I'm your host, Haru, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you all to this night with Pokemon Champions India community. Tonight marks the official launch of our this educational series that we are, kicking off with the absolute blockbuster. Tonight we have with us Brady. Now, Brady has proven himself to be at the absolute highest level of the game. He is a multi-time regional champion. He has won multiple tournaments and has shared his stage with like top players of this format. So, trainers, please give a massive PCI welcome in the chat for our special guest tonight, a phenomenal player, coach, and a mastermind behind VGC Corner, the one and only Brady Smith. Brady,
Hello.
I-
Yes. Thank
handing
you.
this
Thank you.
over to
Thank you for
you.
having me on. Sounds good. Okay. I'll take it on from here. First of all, thank you so much for the introduction. And hello everyone. Thank you everyone for spending your afternoon with me. Thank you everyone for having me in. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah. So basically, today what I was kind of hoping to do, um, I got asked here to kind of put together like a presentation and create like a multi-series for you guys. So essentially, to my understanding, the Indian like VGC scene has like some room to kind of grow, and you guys are kind of like part of like the pioneering force in that. So I'm looking forward to kind of like sharing just some of the stuff that I've learned throughout my years and kind of playing this game. And I'm really, really hoping to maybe hit some stuff that, remember, I was new to the game that I wish that I was able to kind of get just little tiny bits of information. So, how this is going to work is I have a presentation here for you guys on the website. You guys see on the screen right here. This is basically something I've been working on for a minute. This is kind of I'm trying to build like a home base for Pokemon. You guys, I'm kind of sneak peeking it to you guys. You guys are the first to see this. But what this is a website to track your elo. So you can see the team I've been using recently. You can see my win-loss ratio with it. You can see my entire journey, how I started out on kind of low ladder around like 1100s. Then made my way all the way up to around like 1539. This is on Pokemon Showdown, by the way, not in Champions. But it's really cool to kind of see it all logged and everything. But yeah, anyways, though, so on this website, I have a forum for making like educational content. So we're gonna be doing a series. I don't know how long this will go on for, but in this video, slash like this live recording, we're gonna be talking about team building. Um, so team building is something to me, which kind of like strikes very close to my home. So whenever I was like new to the game, I would build some really bad teams, and I mean like really, really bad. What I would either do is just take like the top six Pokemon in usage and just be like, oh yeah, we're using those. Or I would try something completely different and try to break the metagame with my crazy out of the box Mega Aggron team, or something insane that doesn't really actually work. So what I kind of did is just like distill like all my information I've gained from team building, and I researched some stuff from some other creators. I just kind of solidify and make a whole argument for what I believe one of the best ways to team build in this game is. So that's all I have to start off. So who's ready to get into this? Let me see some energy in chat. I want to see who's gonna be here. So maybe I ask you guys some questions. Okay, okay. All right, we got Haru. Okay, okay, okay. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you guys. Awesome. All right, let's do this. All right, I'm loving that. I'm loving that. All right, guys. Okay, perfect. Okay. Um, here's what you want to start off with whenever you're team building. Generally I have like three doors I try to enter in. So if you guys think of like team building as kind of like a system, there needs to be an entry point into the system, an entry point into like when you actually initiate like a team building sort of thing. Now there's three kinds of entry points that I've noticed so far. The first one is the vision. Basically, imagine like you're in the shower, or maybe you're in class or something, and out of nowhere you get this crazy idea that maybe you could try out Charizard with Pelipper, because technically, you can Hurricane in the rain. You can have a water type Weather Ball, so you can have like a multi attacking Charizard, and you kind of get this crazy idea that just maybe could work. That's the first one. Those are like basically like whenever you have this out of the box idea. And the best way to kind of figure this out is that if it works well in theory, like if you can tell if it's this, if it has a really strong why as to it could work, it might not be good, right? And we don't know yet. And that's the point of building a team, is that you have an idea in your head. And then out of nowhere, you decide one moment, you're like, you know what? I am going to build this. I'm going to figure out where this road kind of lies. But if you have like an idea of like two or three Pokemon that maybe work really, really well together, you can basically kind of like combine them together and then just see like how far that goes. So is everyone with me so far on the vision? Does anyone have any questions on whenever you have a vision? That's the first door. So where we're at in the context here, this is stepping into team building. Does everyone understand like whenever you just randomly get like a vision? Has anyone had a vision? I'd love to hear anyone's vision. If anyone got inspired by me saying that, I would love to hear like what kind of vision y'all have. You know, it's like what kind of like vision have you like had in the team builder? Have you guys had anything that maybe like I don't know, maybe like you want to kind of share with the class? I'd love to, see what we got. So give me one sec. Okay. You have Nasty Plot, Fickle Beam, okay. Choice Scarf, Darkrai, Dark Void, Meowstic, Prankster, and Gravity. Okay. That's illegal, unfortunately. That is illegal in the VGC format, but that's a good idea. That's a good vision with Choice Scarf, Darkrai, and Dark Void, because you get Prankster, Dark Voids. I see the theory behind that. I see the vision behind that. That's an example. Crabominable plus Galarian Slowking, Chilly Reception. That's a really good one because you can set up Trick Room for the Crabominable, but you can also get chilly reception, so you get the snow weather. That's a great idea. Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, and Spikes. Boom. Setting up multiple conditions. So whenever the opponent switches in, they get set in the back foot. That's a really good idea. You like Bulk Up Annihilate and Tailwind Hydreigon. That's really cool because you have a fighting type. You have the ability to set up. Then you have a Hydreigon, which accepts Tailwind. The one thing I might challenge you on is having a Fairy Resist, because both Annihilate and Hydreigon share a Fairy Resist or share a Fairy weakness. So that's something you can think of. Swords Dance, Baton Pass, Ensign. That's a little bit out of the box, but that's an example. Okay, awesome, guys. Thank you. Okay. Awesome. Thank you everyone for participating. That's exactly, you guys got precisely what I was talking about. So everyone has an idea of what is good and what is bad in this game. And the cool part is the more you play this game, the more your intuition will be trained up to where you'll be more accurate with your ideas. You will know for a fact something's going to be good or it's not going to be good more accurately before it happens from the more times you do this. So it's an experience game. So the more you do that, the better you get. The more you start to kind of build stuff together, the better your vision becomes for future game sense. But cool. All right, thank you everyone for answering. So that's the first door in. The second door, you pick one particular Pokemon out that you think is really good right now, and you build around that one Pokemon. An example of a Pokemon you might want to do this for could be a Mega Pokemon, such as Charizard, such as Tyranitar, Garchomp, or Golden Go. And you pick that one Pokemon and you build around that one Pokemon using the fundamental skills of team building that you learn in this video here today. And that's going to be the second way. I'll emphasize a bit more on that. That's going to be the main way we actually kind of talk about. But basically, you pick a Pokemon and you apply fundamentals to build around it. And then the last option is just finding a proven team. And this one's probably like just the easiest step. If you guys are really like new to the game, I would recommend literally just finding a team online and then just kind of taking it. And the honest reason why is because there's like two areas of improvement in this game. There is the playing and then there is the team building. And if you are bad at team building, then you do not have the chance to actually play the game. Because team building is very important. If your team is bad, you don't know if you lost because your team is bad or if you lost because you are bad. And in Pokemon, you want to make the variables as small as possible so you know what to change and you know what you cannot change. So, in other words, all that means is by taking a top team, you know the team is good. So you can focus on your playing and only your playing. And that's an example of just a principle. Cool. But yeah, basically, the last part on this is if we're gonna be building a team around like a Pokemon, what this eventually kind of becomes is almost like a mirror of you and your kind of like play style and your build style. So just bouncing back a little bit here. On the one Pokemon like built right point. So if I were to build a Golden Go team, it might look different from someone else building a Golden Go team. But that's because if you're starting with one Pokemon, you have a lot of opportunity to express yourself in the builder. So for me, I like Incineroar a lot. I like a very well-rounded team. So what I would start out with is I would go Incineroar plus Golden Go because you're able to fake out opposing Pokemon and set up a nasty plot. And then I'd think of Pokemon that could be both of those. Probably King Gambit, because King Gambit can hit your Goldango and it gets +1 attack from the Intimidate. So then King Gambit maybe needs to be checked by something in the back, like a Sneasler. But Sneasler, Goldango, Incineroar, that's a fire type, a poison type, and a steel type. They're all weak to ground. And then I would add another Pokemon that resists ground. And you see how that's how my head works. My head works by thinking of a combination of two Pokemon that can work really well together and then expanding from there, from their weaknesses, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and then trying to maximize their strengths while minimizing their weaknesses. Perfect. Um, so yeah, basically, whenever you have like a random kind of like idea, like whenever you have like a vision, it's important to kind of like write that down either on a piece of paper or try to get it down into the builder, just so you don't forget it. And you can come back to it later. But if you just have a random idea, like a shower thought or something, just put it down into the team builder, put it down into your notebook or something, just so you can come back to it later because sometimes you might forget these ideas. But and then plus you can look at your ideas in like 5 years, whenever you're a Pokemon master and like you're one of the best in the world, and you're like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I thought this thing was good all the way back then. And then it's kind of funny, you can look at yourself in the journey. Um, but yeah, okay, so um, once you kind of like find your entry point, either it's gonna be like you're picking one Pokemon to build around, you're taking a proven team, or you just have a random vision. What you do is you start stacking Pokemon that counter metagame Pokemon. In other words, if you look at Charizard, who is probably the best Pokemon in the metagame right now, we can actually see if we go to the Discover tab, you can see the best Pokemon on VGCcorner.com. But you can see Charizard's Sun is performing the best out of every other team here. Um, so because of this, we probably need answers for Charizard. It looks like it's Charizard and Garchomp. So what you'd want to do is ideally build a team with two answers into Charizard, because he's the number one Pokemon in the metagame, and then you can kind of go down from there. So an example of two checks into Charizard would be Tyranitar and Garchomp. Why do we want two checks into Charizard bare minimum? Simple reason put is it's a double battle. If you have two Pokemon that you can use to beat Charizard, you can position those two Pokemon in front of Charizard whenever he's on the board. What this means is if there's a Charizard up against a Pokemon such as a Tyranitar and Garchomp, then that Tyranitar, or that Charizard, rather, the Charizard, is going to be unable to play the game because Charizard is doing nothing to Tyranitar. Unless Sun is up, then sure, you can Solar Beam Tyranitar, but we're assuming that the Weather Wars won. Charizard's doing nothing into Garchomp because Garchomp resists both its grass type offensive output and its fire type offensive output. So you have properly covered for Charizard. And that right there is the key to proper team building. Is you go down the list of every single top Pokemon and you just go down it one by one by one by one and look at the top of the metagame. And if you guys want another stat or if you guys want another website, Munch Stats .com. Here's another website. If you guys want the website at the end, I can provide all the websites used on the comments. But basically, what you can do is go through the top list of Pokemon. You can see King Gambit's actually number one, the official usage from Pokemon Showdown. And then what you would do is just click it and you'd think about your team. Do I have two answers for King Gambit? And then you look at your team, your Pokemon you have. Garchomp, does this beat King Gambit? Yes or no? In my opinion, I think it does because you can hit it for super effective damage and you outspeed it. I think that's condition, or I think that would be considered a check. So that's an example. Is like you go through the list of King Gambit, Basculegion, Garchomp, Incineroar, Floette, Charizard, and you try to have two checks for each one of these on your team of 6 Pokemon. This means that your Pokemon need to overlap with each one. So you need to try to find a common check for both Garchomp, Incineroar, Floette, and Charizard. So maybe Incineroar is weak to Rock,
and Charizard is also weak to rock. So you can have a Garchomp to deal with Incineroar and Garchomp and Kingambit. And Garchomp beats all those guys, but Garchomp's weak to Floette. So you need a Floette check in addition to Garchomp. And that's the kind of thing I would be thinking about whenever I'm in the builder. Just whenever you look at any top Pokemon, just know that you need to have two checks into each one of the top Pokemon, okay? All right, is everyone with me so far on what I'm saying? I want to check up with the class. I want to make sure I didn't lose anyone. Okay, yes. Okay, good, 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 good. Okay. Okay, any questions? I kind of want to pause. I know we're going very very deep into this right now. Any questions on why? Does anyone want to know why we need two checks in there? Can someone answer me that? Why do we need two checks? There we go. I actually did answer that one. Why do we need two checks into each one of the top Pokemon in the metagame? I would love to see someone answer that in their own words. That's my question for each one of you. If you get it, you will get a shout out. The meta is huge. How can we make two checks for each? That's a good question. That's a very good question. That's how you build a good team. That's where the question lies, though. You want to answer that. That's how you build a good team. Is having two checks super concrete? In my opinion, I think actually having three checks is the optimal answer. I think having two checks is the minimum. If you have two checks, you have a 50-50 matchup into the opponent, and it allows you to have two things weak to that Pokemon. So in other words, let's say if I had a Tyranitar and a Garchomp, that allows me to lock in with two Pokemon that are now weak to Charizard, but that are also very good. A Kingambit, great Pokemon, amazing Pokemon, but he's weak to Charizard. But if we have both Tyranitar and Garchomp, two Pokemon that destroy Charizard, now we can unlock Kingambit on the team because we have enough hate for Charizard. And that's an example. That's an example of like how to apply this. We have two checks. If these two have any type disadvantage, we can run the other one. Yes, exactly. If you are weak to that one Pokemon on two members in your team, you do not need to bring those two members. Instead, you can bring the two Pokemon that are good into those. I got a shiny Musharna. I'm thinking about building a team, which around Malmar. So Musharna, Empoleon, Whimsicott, Sinistcha, Staraptor, Malmarm. Remember, you need two checks into Charizard. Not to mention your Empoleon does not resist the Charizard because it's actually a steel type. So fire is neutral into Empoleon. What I'd recommend you do is run some damage calculations. So we'll do another I'll do another class. I promise you guys. I'm gonna get you guys to Pokemon Master status. I promise you. But I would recommend doing some damage calculations. Damage calculations are the ability to look at your team and then see how your team does into a majority of the metagame. So what this would look like is you take a look at, in your case, you were looking for hold on one second. Yeah, I think it was Musharna. I think Musharna was being brought, or it was Empoleon. So I click Empoleon here, and I'd try to sharpen it. Go to Empoleon, and then I'd probably look at this and just see like what kinds of like calcs we can hit. So look at Charizard. Charizard is killing us a lot. So yeah, if we have Sun up, you can tell Charizard kind of wrecks us. So let's like increase our stats, and let's just see as an example like how bulky we can get. Okay, Garchomp still kills us. Uh, oh my goodness. See, look at this. Empoleon does not beat Charizard. You have to have this much special defense. So in our stats, we'd have to go 32 and 24 in our investment. We only have a total of 66. So this is cutting into our resources so much. We only have 10 more resources left, but we lived the Charizard attack, so it worked. But no, this is terrible because then we will just die to anything else. We either won't do damage, or we'll die. But yeah, this is an example. You need to see these calculations into the metagame so you can know if your thing is a counter or if it's not a counter. Um, but yeah, just wanted to share that. That's an example of damage calculations. That's a top level player skill. But yeah, we can get that to that one and like a future one. But yeah, those are very very good stuff. Thank you everyone for being a part of here. Thank you for asking questions. All right. Do you think lead matters a lot? Oh man, I am very happy you asked that because we're gonna have another one of these on just in team preview. What this is gonna be, these are all gonna be recorded, and we're gonna get these all recorded for you guys. And then they're going to be in a series, and you guys can rewatch these on your own stuff. And we're gonna get to a Q&A, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch up. So thank you everyone for on that. So let's go right back into the stuff. So generally, what you want to do is like have two answers to like everything in the metagame, ideally three. So pretty much just try to stack hate up against the top metagame Pokemon because you're gonna be playing up against the top metagame Pokemon in a much larger percentage than you would be up against like a random Malamar or a random like Mushana or something on ladder. You're gonna play against Charizard like I'd say probably statistically maybe 100 times more than you would a random Mushana. So you want to kind of like trust in that, but. Anyways though, yeah, once you kind of like start like listing the Pokemon, you start kind of getting checks for them, you start kind of building off those. Your real guiding force is the feeling of the team. So after you kind of like piece together like a bootleg team of just random like checks into the top metagame Pokemon, maybe you get random Pokemon in the metagame that beat the top Pokemon, and you make like a Frankenstein kind of team together. That kind of like does not have too many weaknesses into one type. Maybe you don't have more than like two dark types because generally you do not want to have more than two of a given type on a team. And I'll share once again the reason why because it's a doubles battle. It's a doubles battle. So if you have three fairy types and the opponent has one poison type, if they bring that one poison type, they will always do super effective damage to one of your Pokemon. And if you have to bring all three of your fairy types, then you will suddenly be hit by super effective on all three of your types because your team was not really built properly. Um but yeah, basically, so like whenever like you're building a team, you have to make sure that like you have like a good like defensive profile on it as well. This isn't really something I talk about in here, but it is very very important to have a good defensive profile. So do not lose to any single top metagame Pokemon. That is the most important thing whenever you're building a team. Okay. But yeah, the feeling on the team is going to be your guiding force. If you're playing a team on ladder and you just like are not doing good with it, it doesn't click, it feels bad. Maybe change up the team. It's okay to do that. But the most important thing is what you need to do is basically be able to play into the top metagame teams very accurately. So you can play at least on their level. And the good part is if you go to the champions ladder and you just hop on to Master Ball or champions tier, you will play up against the most common teams. I promise you, every single time. There's gonna be random people that are playing some like metagame team. Like I'm sure you guys have all seen like the Charizard, Basculegion, Whimsicott, King Gambit team that's everywhere right now. That's called Big Six, is what the players are calling it nowadays. But yeah, basically like all these, yep, everyone knows Big Six. Good job. Wow, you guys know about that. Good stuff. And yeah, trick rooms. Yes, we see a lot of trick rooms. Very, very good stuff. We'll see Sun and Rain and all that stuff and all of like all that you guys will see the common teams because you'll play up against it 50 million times. Yep, set up. And whenever you play up against those, uh you should be doing the same like one to three things up against that team every single time. It should be the same. So in other words, like if you're up against a metagame team and if they have the same six Pokemon, it's the last person, you should be going with the exact same team into them. Or with the exact same plan into them. Or you have two different plans. Maybe you have like two different openers, like it's chess. You can have like two different typical openers you go with, different styles of play, but still gives you a fair matchup into it. You need a fair matchup. If you're getting tossed by those, and if the opponents are doing the exact same thing into you every single game and you're still losing and you know what they're going to click but you're still losing, it's a team issue. Or you just couldn't figure out the matchup using your team. But it's a game planning or a team issue and you need to figure out which one it is. You have to change something. Um but yeah, um pretty much though, your gut's going to be your guiding force. That's the main thing. Is if you're losing to a team over and over and over, your intuition's going to be your guiding force. Your intuition's not your end all and everything, but trusting in your gut. Whenever your gut knows, it knows. You need to be able to trust your gut because that is going to guide you to victory. Never ever doubt your gut, especially in the builder. So if you think you're losing because your team is bad, you might be right. So just trust in your gut and just use that to change out variables. Just like I say here, like your emotion is supposed to be like your compass. Basically, it's like your guiding force. It's not like your end all be all. You need to find like ideally like in the builder, you find that proper balance, like of like a proper like balance between like what you believe could be good and what you know to be good in your brain. and you find this really cool middle ground of like, I'm using a slightly off meta pick because I think this pick is very good. But at the end of the day, my team is still good regardless. I know I'm using 6 very good Pokemon. For me, I add a little Golden Go here because this guy's my favorite Pokemon. I love a Golden Go, but he's kind of, I don't want to say he's bad right now, but he's just not as good as he was, and that's very true. And it's sad to me. They had to kill Golden Go, but yeah. Oh, good question. How do we approach building a specific archetype? Um, yeah, I want to answer that one next. So after I finish up this stuff real quick, I'll go into a Q&A. But yeah, this is kind of what like other like people have kind of said. I just kind of like got through the internet, got some other people's opinions. The 3 pillars of a finished team. I need to have good type coverage into a majority of the metagame. So that Charizard thing, you can break down the rule I put of having 2 checks into Charizard and having 2 types or 2 checks into fire types, having 2 checks into flying types, having 2 checks into dragon types, and genuinely looking at it as oh, what do I do if my opponent hits me with a fire type? Do I have a dragon type to resist it? Do I have a fire type to resist it? How do I hit them for damage back? Having good coverage on your team is very, very important. Make sure that you have ways to hit almost every type for super effective damage, and you're not allowing yourself to get walled by a specific type, like a Toxapex. Toxapex is a poison water type. If you do not have an electric type damage output, or a ground type damage output, you might just be screwed. You might not have a way to touch that thing. So you got to be very careful whenever you're in the builder to not lose in team preview. Um, but yeah, so there's that. The next thing is basically your team needs to have some kind of very, very clear and focal win condition. So this one's like for like the vision slash shower thoughts. Basically, like you need to kind of imagine like what is your game plan with your team? Like what are you looking to actually do, and what are you looking to achieve with your team and the vision of it? With the Charizard Pelipper stuff, we talked about playing Charizard both in and out of Sun. With Golden Ghost stuff, we talked about Fake Out plus Nasty Plot. The goal is your team needs to have some kind of game plan to it. I know someone in chat mentioned like Meowscarada plus Darkrai skill swapping Prankster onto Dark Void. That right there is an example of a clear strategy, but I'm going to poke some holes into it. If you spend your time going for skill swap into your Darkrai, what if they have a dark type? Dark types are immune to Prankster. Well, now you need something to hit dark types in the back. And also, while you go for the side Prankster Dark Void, can't they technically just wake up the next turn? In which case, your whole setup kind of got useless because now they can kill you. And that's an example of just what you think about. And of course, Darkrai is illegal. Okay, I'm going to say that Darkrai is illegal. He's not a legal Pokemon in this format, but that was just a good example because I can tell the person that said that was really thinking. They were thinking of an out of the box strategy, and I want to like give a thumbs up on that because that's the kind of stuff which I love about this game is you can come up with some really cool out of the box strategies. But yeah, so basically, like, make sure you have a clear win condition. If like for example, Floette's win condition is to set up Calm Minds and click Dazzling Gleam. Oh, also, guys, I'm very sorry I played in your tournament. And I didn't realize Float was banned. I had no idea about that. Yeah, I kind of just like, yeah, I mean, I see why it was banned in your turn. Sorry, I thought it was legal, but I used it in like the tournament last weekend, and I think I just clicked like Dazzling Gleam like every turn, and I was like, oh shoot, like that kind of felt a little bit one sided. But yeah, so sorry about like playing Float there. I did not mean to like crash the tournament with that. But no, point is like if you're using a team that has a focal win condition, just know how it kind of works and just like play to that win condition in every game proactively. But yeah, that and then the last part about like good teams, you generally have some kind of speed control on your team. Almost every team does. The reason why is because if you're moving first, you get to roll for the RNG in your favor. If you're clicking a rock slide, there's a 30% chance you can flinch the opponent. Every move has a 1 in 24th chance to critically hit, and you want to be in those odds. You do not want the odds to be working against you. You do not want to be the person that is gay, that is praying they do not get flinched. You want to be the person that is just like, oh, I could low-key flinch this and win this game right now. You want to be that person. You want to be up ahead. The strategy is to make luck work for you. Don't pray for luck. Don't just pray. Like my whole strategy is is luck. It's all about increasing the odds to everything is in your favor. So if you are going for tailwind, make sure in your tailwind turns you're going for high impact attacks that can leave the opponent one shot, so they cannot go for an attack. Go for like chances of RNG spam, 30%, 20%, and just spamming those over and over, because if you're ahead, you can afford to get a few of them wrong. And that's the time to spam, is because if you get them right, you can automatically win the game. But speed control is a very important vehicle to kind of get you there. So definitely make sure you have some kind of speed control on your team. That's just a kind of checklist. Um, but yeah. Yeah, what a lot of people are saying is that this is not my personal beginner's mistake. My beginner's mistake is building around something kind of like that just doesn't work. But there is an argument to say that a lot of people do not add speed control on their team, and their team is bad because of that. Now imagine if you had Pokemon that are all getting outsped by Charizard, and then they just combine that with Earthquake, and they just click Heat Wave, and they click Earthquake, and they just kill both your Pokemon, and you die, and then you could not move because they were faster than you. That would suck. I do not want to do that. But yeah, that's an example of like why you kind of need some speed controls, because if you can outspeed it and you can one hit knock out their Charizard, it changes the name of the game essentially. Um, but yeah, that another problem is like as you start kind of like aggressively putting together like these Pokemon, these checks into like the top metagame Pokemon, you might hit a wall. Like that six Pokemon might actually just not feel useful. It might just be useless. And that's just a normal thing. That's the sixth slot just does not ever feel good. It only feels good if your team is like gold and your team is really, really good, and every single member on the team contributes equal value to it. But yeah, that is a real thing. Is not everyone really that sixth slot is kind of just like there sometimes. So just be aware of that. Um, yeah. And then like the next thing which I do want to say, and I already specified this and I want to emphasize this, and this is the last point, and I will go into questions in a second here. But if you are like looking to just improve your play, I would not start in the builder. I would just copy a proven team. The reason why is because, like I said, there's two variables. There's either your team or your play. And if your team is good, you can eliminate that variable entirely. And if you lose, it's because of your play. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, because play is easy to fix. Team building is that's a whole nother skill. It's taken me years to learn. But I do think everyone starting out building their first Pokemon team is probably the best way to play Pokemon, because it's the most fun. So have fun with the game, enjoy it. But yeah, just make sure if you are trying to improve, maybe try just a proven team. Just start off with that, just so you kind of have like that footing. And then from there, after you get to Master Ball, once you're Master Ball, like I'd say Master Ball 2, Master Ball 1, you can probably hit the builder. You can probably start building stuff at that point. But yeah, no, that's kind of everything I got for this. Thank you everyone for listening until the very end of my little presentation here. If you guys have any questions, now's time to ask. I know I saw a lot of different questions about like dual weather, about lots of different stuff. So now's your time to kind of go ahead and ask away. Um, but yeah, Cryptic, do you have anything you want to say, or Haru or whoever was speaking like earlier? Sorry, I didn't quite catch it. Do you guys have anything you guys want to say? While I catch up on the chat really quick.
That was like a very intuitive and incredible session, like the introductory session into team building. I'm really bad at team building. My friends always accuse me that I kind of copy the top meta teams and then have a go at it.
Now you
So
know.
now
Now you
we
know.
will
Now you
go.
know. Easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I know. Also, can
Exactly.
you link down all your websites you have mentioned in the chat?
Oh
Then
yes,
maybe people
yes.
can, yeah, that's something we can do. And meanwhile, people can write up their questions. Brady would be taking them up in a moment.
And usage stats. Perfect. Okay. All right. Let me go through each one of these questions really quickly. Um, Okay, is Pokemon a game of luck or skill? It's a combination of both. It's all about creating these systems in your play to where the luck works in your favor. Which that is the skill part of it. Is like you get to these really creative situations where you kind of like muster up the courage to go in a direction that maybe does not look like it's the conventional path, but you have to go in it. And it teaches the ability to trust yourself, and that's the skill in it, is trusting yourself under pressure. Being under pressure is a really um it tests you. It really shows you like what you're made of in the moment. Like you might know what's going to happen, or you feel like you're going to know what's going to happen, but do you actually act on it in the moment when it matters the most? That's the skill that Pokemon really teaches you. That's my personal skill I learned from it. Um, but yeah. Let me look through some of these. Yep, minimizing luck factor. That's a very good answer to that question to spare. Yep, pick up meta line experience, all types of teams and Pokemon the ladder, gain experience, and go in the builder. Yes, that exactly was the essence. Yes, go to ladder using a proven team, and then find out like what people are using, and then either switch teams to another popular team or try to completely counter those meta teams. And that's exactly what you want to do. So good job, Joe. You figured exactly what we were looking for. Awesome. If team made by me is not working, what should I do? If your team is not working, I would highly recommend fixing a tiny thing with it. So the best way to get better at team building is you identify why the team is not working in your case. So if the team is not working because you never ever go other Pokemon, but you always go with the same four Pokemon, maybe you should replace the other two Pokemon with other things, maybe more standard things. And you can kind of figure out if a team isn't working, the reason it needs to be figured out. Why is it not working? And if you can answer that question, then you can make a logical change based on that conclusion. And that's the best part of team building is just optimizing a team slowly over time. It's very, very fun. Yeah, that should we prioritize using 70% accuracy strong moves or use a weak accuracy move? Use 70% or above. The general rule, as players, we generally try not for anything below 75 unless it's like really, really high impact. Like back in the Dynamax days, people would go with this move called Hypnosis, which puts you to sleep 60% of the time. And the only reason why they would do that is because Dynamax lasts for 3 turns. And Hypnosis could last for 3 turns. So if you catch them Dynamax, you can Hypnosis them, they're asleep, and then now they are asleep for their entire Dynamax duration. That was a really, really good tech. It's all about risk reward profile. So as long as you're getting wins at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Consistent wins, like very consistent wins. That's all that matters. Some people swear by sleep powder, even though it's only 75% accuracy. I personally will never lock in with a move that's lower than 80% accuracy, but that's my personal risk reward profile. I prefer having none. I prefer having all 100%. But that's not always the case. It's sometimes you have to cut corners, unfortunately. But ideally, you have all 100% accurate moves if you can, because that is that it's just sometimes you miss and it sucks. But sometimes there's no way around it. You have to work with it. Um, Cool. Someone said, I think we should use a mon that fits the team regardless of the meta or not. Yeah, I agree. As long as it fits the team and the team concept, that is the most important thing. As long as it beats the meta or is the meta. You either have to play the meta or you have to beat the meta. Do not ignore the meta, but you have to look and see if the meta exists and how it exists, and then you need to beat the meta accordingly. Yeah. Oh, good questions, guys. How do you deal with setup stuff like Metagross and Cosmic Power? That's actually a really good question. So what I would recommend is either have something such as a Perish song on your team, so you can kind of put them on a timer, or you can do this thing which I like to do, which is just ignore them until the very end. You pretty much just kill everything else but that one Pokemon, and then you do a 2v1 scenario. You keep one of your checks alive for it. So if it is setting up a Cosmic Power, maybe having a Darkest Lariat and Incineroar on the team, so you can intimidate it down to -6 attack, so it's not doing any damage, and then you can basically kill it with the Darkest Lariat over time. The goal is to reduce its damage output and make it into a useless Pokemon, and that's how you beat setup Pokemon. You want it on the board, you want it to stay there because it's useless and it's just kind of taking up a board space or a board slot. Yeah, that was a good question. Um, for Rain Team, for me, Rain Team is best. Cool, thank you for sharing. How do you master Trick Room teams and Tail Room teams? Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, so speed control. You guys might want to write this down if you guys are looking for playing with speed control. It's all about knowing how the turn is going to play out, knowing who's the fastest Pokemon, who's the slowest Pokemon on the given team in the current moment, and then basically you can use that to forecast how the game is going to go. So if you are faster, you can click close combat into a slot, and then does that close combat one shot them or does it not one shot them? And the goal is during your speed control turns, you play this high impact game. You play a very fast, in your face, aggressive play style whenever you have your speed control up, because you only have a finite number of turns in your speed control. So if you have Tailwind up, you need to play extremely assertive and very aggressive because you're going to be playing first. So while you're playing first, land super effective attacks and go for this concept called a pin, which is where you double tap one single Pokemon down and then you cannot allow that Pokemon to move. And you set it up with two attacks that can cover every single option they can go for. If you go for a ice type move into an Incineroar and they have a grass type in the back, you can also lock it down with a fighting type move. So if they stay in, they get fighting typed, but if they switch out, they get ice typed on their grass type to resist it. And that's an example basically of what you can do. It's all about setting up those very offensive situations with your speed control active and then planning out your turns accordingly during your Tailwind or your Trick Room turns. And that's basically it. And yeah, that's kind of speed control. We got 2 questions on that, so I'm going to answer that. Cool. All right, I want to continue going down. How to kill Toxapex. Basically, all you need to do is just hit it with a super effective attack. You ignore it till the very end of the game, kill everything else. But then you save a super effective attack, such as a Psychic, and you can just Psychic it. You have a Steel type that's immune to poison. You have that 1v1 it, like a King Gambit with Swords Dance in the back. You just ignore it till the very end, and you kill everything else, and that is the last Pokemon you want to kill. Unless you get a really, really good strike onto it, and you can do like 90%, and you know for a fact that there's nothing they can do, and then do that. But that's very rare. The player would have to mess up, I think. Bro, about lead, if you can give some tips about how to improve my leads, is there any strategy you use? Next one's going to be on team preview. Next one, it will be on team preview. But I'll give you some tips, just some very, very quick advice here. Whenever you're selecting your leads, a general strategy which I recommend is I call this like the split your offense strategy. I don't know if anyone's really talked about this, but basically like what this looks like is you have one Pokemon that's very, very good into their team. It's good into 3 or 4 members on their team because you are using good Pokemon. You know how to team build, and your team is good into their team. And then you combine it with a Pokemon that beats their checks for your one Pokemon. So let's say if your one good Pokemon into their team is Floette, and it beats 2 to 3 members on their team, and by clicking Dazzling Gleam, but they have a Sneasler, and Sneasler wants to Dire Claw your Floette. Well, maybe you can combine the Floette with a Sinistcha because you can redirect away the Dire Claw with a Rage Powder. Or maybe you can combine it with an Incineroar to intimidate the Sneasler. So now you do not die to the Dire Claw. And basically, that's kind of what you want to do with Team Preview is create those scenarios to enable one Pokemon using your other Pokemon. And that is like a really good strategy to win a lot of Team Preview instances is just try to find your best Pokemon and then play like a protect that Pokemon kind of game plan, or just a get an offensive game plan off of that Pokemon, get damage and just spray and pray kind of game plan. It's all about using your heaviest hitter as the best you can, and that's basically how you approach team preview. Is this team good I made? Hydreigon, Annihilate, Mousehold, Sylveon, Incineroar, Mega Metagross. I like the Mega Metagross there because I was about to talk about how weak to Teferi you are, but you added the Mega Metagross. I think Mega Metagross, Hydreigon, Sylveon is actually really cool. I think that's an underexplored archetype right now. That looks good. Maybe go Tailwind. You have to go Tailwind on Hydreigon. That's very important, I think. Yeah, definitely need to go Tailwind. That looks good though. I like it. Good work. If team is made by me, it's not working. What should I do? Yeah, I think I already answered that. Yeah, basically just optimize it. Change the tiny thing as to why it's not working. If we know one mon that's great in the format, how do we know what other mons can complement it? That's a very good question. Basically, what you need to do is just you have to like think about it. Like, I mean, like what you think about specifically is an instance in your head, a game state, a board state. You think about like, and imagine this, like close your eyes for a second and then envision a King Gambit up against a Charizard. And you realize that Charizard's always going to have you in check with a Heat Wave unless you get in the range of a Sucker Punch, which is around about 40-50, maybe 55, depending on their spread. But point is, that's all you're getting off. You're only getting off that one Sucker Punch because you're in check by Heat Wave. You're going to die every other time. So it's like about seeing those scenarios in your head and taking them for what they are, and then using those scenarios with your team to build and then go further more deeper into that. But yeah, basically just kind of you need a game sense. You have to close your eyes and see the board state and know what will happen in a hypothetical board state. That is one of the most important skills ever. But yeah, that's how you can figure out what mons can complement complement one another is because you can see those board states, then you can envision with the why it checks it, and then you can go furthermore from there. But yeah, also try to convince the Pokemon Company to make an Indian circuit. Yeah, no, I wish I had that much say, but no, that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be really cool. Can we explain how to choose leads next week, guys? We're gonna be doing a leads one. I'm pretty sure. You know what? I actually will do my best on that one though. Yeah, pretty much like use that strategy which I told you about. Pick your kingpin, your best Pokemon, and then combine it with a way to cover for its weaknesses. So, like I said in the example, if your Floette is weak to Sneasler, combine the Sneasler with a check for the Sneasler. So it could be Intimidate, it could be Dual Wing Beat, Aerodactyl, it could be Sinistra to redirect, and just combine your strongest Pokemon with your best check for their check. Cool. All right. Yeah, that was good questions so far. Oh my, you guys are good. You guys are asking lots of questions here. I love this. One second, let me get through this. I have made a team, and can you tell if it's good or not? Mega Staraptor, Hisuian, Typhlosion, Staraptor, Garchomp, Whimsicott, King Gambit, Primarina. I can tell you guys are starting to listen though, because like I'm seeing these teams are getting better and better. Like the more I'm going down them, they're getting like there's more and more thought behind these. I'm not going to say that's bad. I'm not going to say it's bad. Because I see the vision. You have like you have one fairy resist. Ideally, we'd have two fairy resists on that team. Because you have two Pokemon weak to fairy. So ideally you'd have two Pokemon that resist fairy, but you have one being a Typhlosion. So maybe but that being said, how do you fit it on? That's like my tiny little critique on that one. Maybe certain Floette can be annoying. And just think about that. It's like think about what you do into Floette and then try to break it. I wanted to ask, how should we build a team? By this I mean how many support mon, sweepers, and other stuff. That's a good question. Those are all heuristics. Those are tiny little rules. I try not to go for those because I feel like they limit you. But if I were to, I generally say the answer is always going to come down to two. Two support Pokemon, two sweepers, and then two bulky fat hitters. That's generally the structure I use in all my teams personally. Is it risky at the time to build rogue teams? I hate building meta. Not at all. As long as you look at the meta cosmic and you intentionally build a team that is rogue with the intention of having a good matchup into the metagame. That's the most important skill, is if you can look at the metagame and know how to counter it from your rogue pick and connect it all together to make something that gives you a favorable matchup. That is the most important thing. How to stop overthinking and gain confidence while battling a team and counter all possible outcomes. Dude, that one's for a whole nother topic. That's like a whole like discussion right there. But at the end of the day, there's like I think that Pokemon's kind of like a spiritual exercise. I'm going to be completely honest. This is like one of like my like under I don't really talk with a lot of people about this, but just because you guys are asking about this in particular about overthinking and like kind of like gaining confidence. You gain confidence whenever you trust yourself and whenever you're right. And your soul has peace whenever you can actually believe your own word and know what you're saying is true. So at the end of the day, how you gain more confidence is by being right in your assessment. How you get right in your assessment is by losing more. And you need to reach these aggressive loss goals, because if you're going to be playing the game, you're going to be losing. And that's okay. Set to get like 10 losses in a day. And once you get those, cool, you're learning. And then like the longer it takes you to get 10 losses, the more you're surviving before you get those 10 losses, you're doing good. And you want to play like a survival game basically. And you need to be comfortable behind the wheel. You have to be comfortable. Like, how do you ride a bike? You just start riding it. Um, Basically, like the goal is not to come up with all these scenarios, with all these like, oh, I need to cover this. The goal is to make the game simple for you, whatever works best for you as an individual. It's there's a lot of identity in this game, which people don't really talk about. It's all about getting it comfortable for you. So it's a spiritual thing. You need to be comfortable in your own skin, your own shell. And then once you learn the game, once you learn the basics, right? Like the positioning, the board positioning, like, oh, I don't want to have my grass type on the field up against one fire type and one flying type because my grass type's eating up a board slot. I need to reposition him. Once you learn basics like that, everything else falls into place, and it all becomes a game of endurance, a game of wits, a game of in the moment, how you perform under the pressure. But that's a whole nother topic. That's like a really, really deep one. But you have to trust yourself. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, team building for ladder tournament is different, right? How to approach them? That's a good question. Team building on ladder. I generally try to choose people on ladder. I go for very like oppressive, proactive, offensive stuff, but I go for off meta offensive stuff on best of one ladder because best of one ladder, like you don't know what the opponents have, but they also don't know what you have. So I always try to choose people on the best of one ladder, which I love it. Go for a slightly off meta on in game ladder, or use the best team in the format and you're just like actually like the best player in the world. Like that's like literally like the philosophy you need to have is like, oh, I'm using the best because I'm the best, or I'm using off meta because I can cheese people. I love cheesing people on best of one ladder. Best of three, you go with more standard stuff. The reason why is because it's good. They can see all your tricks. You have nothing to hide. Use something that's objectively good. Bring your full guns. But if it's best of one closed team sheet, you can definitely cheese some people. So yeah. Is off meta teams worth it? And are they the real meta? Off meta won worlds last year. Yeah, 2025 Geo won with off meta team. I think off meta is very, very real. I think it's like a 50-50. I think half the times meta games are usually defined by like the top team in the format. And then the other half, it's a cat and mouse game where they try to catch at the right moment and just try to like make a fish for a really good matchup into the top team. So yeah, I'd say if you guys are off meta players, I love my off meta players. I really like that. You guys have a spot in my heart. Because I'm also at one point I was an off meta player, but now I just trust my fundamental skills to where I just play standard stuff all the time. Um, yeah, can let me actually read this. Oh yeah, one hit KO with skill swap no guard. That's a strategy. Yep, but think about what could stop it. Speed tiering. That's an important one, Yam. You have to make sure that you're not getting speed tier diffed. What if they just kill your skill swapper, like your Halucha? They just kill you before you can attack. Boom, your whole strategy goes out the window. That's an example of something you got to think about. When starting the proven team, how many games would you normally play before deciding something actually needs to be changed? Serena, I would probably say like just enough to where you feel like you know the team and you understand it. Whenever you're like, I actually like understand a good amount of the pieces on here. I get it. I see the vision. I've won a few games with this. Whenever you kind of like get it, but you're not sold by it. You're like, you know what? But I just don't like this, or I need to change this. Whenever it's like you feel like you understand why it doesn't work. It's all about an understanding thing. Because at the end of the day, don't invest in your Pokemon. Invest in yourself. Invest in your skills as a trainer. Invest in your skills and your capabilities to play this game. That's one of the most important things to do is invest in yourself. Um, Okay, let me see. How do you memorize speed list? Oh, Haru. So I actually have something on the website for you guys. You guys would like this. So if you go to VGCcorner.com, everyone, on here, if you create a new team, it might be broken. Sorry, the website's kind of broken right now. But if you go to Sharpen, it's under Tools. You go to Sharpen. You can click on a Pokemon. You can see the speed tiering. This will help you out. So you can memorize them. You can see that Charizard, with the current speed investment I have, 29 SP, hits the 149 speed stat. You can see at +1 after a Dragon Dance, I outspeed Mega Aerodactyl, and that's what this thing does. So you can pin that right there. But this is how you could memorize the speed tier matchups. You can like go through this and just kind of browse through it. And whenever you're playing, look through it. Every time you lose, it's a lesson. So if you lose to something stupid, I remember one time, my Scarf Garchomp got outsped by Mega Aerodactyl on ladder. That only happens once, guys. You get outsped by that once, you know for a fact what you have to hit now. I have to hit 149 speed to outspeed it. I know that now because I got outsped by it, and it hurt. It hurt me because I lost Elo. I don't like losing Elo for no reason. But yeah, basically, so like in other words, all that's to say is like, if you are using Charizard, or sorry, if you're using like a Pokemon which is reliant on like its speed tiering, just inform yourself with like what it can hit, what it can do, that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely check out that on VGC Corner. I'd recommend that. Hold on. Perfect team. Scarf Staraptor, Final Gambit. Okay, that's good. Whimsicott, Malmar, with Trick Room. No Trick Room. I'm gonna be honest, Psyche, I can't really fully see the vision on that. I'm trying to look. So if you go Surf, Scaraptor, Whimsicott, okay, so you're going Mega, Malmar. Okay, so you're trying to Baton Pass. You got two Contrary Pokemon. Oh no, you don't have Contrary. You're Scarf on the Staraptor. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't see what Musharna is doing on there. You have a weakness into fire. You don't have like a fire resist, which is the main thing. Is I'm just looking at your team psyche. I'm just like looking at Heat Wave's going to just kind of like blow through you. Yeah, you need like Milotic. You need or T-Tar. You need a resist, probably T-Tar. You need a resist into Heat Wave. But yeah, what should I is using? I'm using my website. It's vgccorner.com. Yeah, VGC Corner. Perfect. Okay, wait one second. Does damage calculator really help for building teams? Yes, it does. Damage calculator gives you information that you would not be able to find if you didn't use it. Damage calculator is very important. Just knowing your damage calcs. Um, when testing a team, how do you know whether a loss happened because the team has a genuine bad matchup or because you just played the matchup badly? That's guys. Okay, everyone pay attention to this one. That's an S tier question. That is a top tier question right there. Um, how do you know when a loss is because of your team or because of your playing? Very simply put, you will know if you try to solve it, but you can't get it using the resources. Every single game feels like you're just barely getting close to winning, but the opponent does the same thing every single time and they always win. They get down to a 50-50 and it feels like you're losing every single time. That is a team issue. If you're getting into these crazy mind games to where you never feel like you really have any footing and it just feels like you're getting wrecked at every possible corner, but you can maybe salvage something, it's definitely a team issue. Don't play into that kind of game. Don't fall into that trap. What you got to do is like using more proactive. Like you can at least play their game turn one and force some kind of nasty 50-50s. But yeah, how do you stop speed control? I'm using something like Paris Trap. Whenever you're using something like Paris Trap, your goal is if they set up speed control, they can get encore disabled. They can get faked out. They're not attacking. They're on a timer. Using Perish Trap effectively is all about slowly counting down the turns and planning out your 3 turns in Perish. There's kind of 3 phases of Perish. There's like pre-Perish, during Perish, and post-Perish. Memorize your during Perish lines. That's the most important thing with Perish. But your pre-Perish phase, you have to make sure you are able to safely into Perish without losing many resources. So ideally, you can aggressively set up a Perish when they switch out of their Ghost type. You can threaten their Ghost type with Shadow Ball, and you aggressively set it up. But that's an ideal. You don't always get that off. But the goal of Perish is always to, if they're setting up Tailwind, they're not attacking. So you fake out their ally, they click Tailwind, click Perish, and then stall out the Tailwind turns during the Perish. For Mega's Cosmic Tower or Cosmic Powers, damage comes from his defense body press. Yeah, usually a ghost type. So for example, if you had a Sinistra, you said his damage comes from his defense on body press. If you have a Sinistra, you can Rage Powder away any attacks from Metagross. That's an example, which tells me it might be a team issue. You said, and as an Arcaludon player, you just can't deal with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait. What if I had a Sinistra? You figured it out. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Boom. There you go. That's crazy. I didn't even read that. You said, wait. What if I had a Sinistra? Beside for Rage Powder Arch. Boom. You figured it out. Your win con depends on making Sinistra survive. Yes. Good. Good job. I just saw a learning moment live, and I love seeing that. Awesome job. Okay. Cool. Um. There you go. Yep, redirect away the cool VGC Masterclass. Okay, well, I think we're starting to get everywhere. Okay, sorry, I got another question. Okay, we're almost. I'm almost caught up. Almost caught up. I'm still. You guys are asking so many questions. It's like, I'd like to ask, how do you make changes into a meta-proven team? Let's say Big Six is kind of struggling versus Toxapex. If a opponent has an answer to Garchomp, teams like Big Six are already weak in Apex cores at Brady. That's a good question. Basically, what you got to do is it's all about your personalized data. So this is where like you would look like at your replays or your vibes will tell you this. Basically like what Pokemon you are bringing and what Pokemon you are just simply not bringing. So basically like think about it. If you're not bringing one Pokemon like overwhelmingly, like a percentage of the time you're just not playing up against it, or you're not bringing it, then just do not lock in that Pokemon. That's the first on the chopping block. If you're not going Garchomp, don't lock in Garchomp. Who cares if you change out one thing? If you're not bringing it, you need to change it and make it a hard counter for Toxapex. Just start out there, like a for Red Giraffe, so you can sidekick it, for example. I do think Fridge Draft's gonna like more offensive Fridge Draft's gonna pop up here and there. Sidekicking down the Toxapex is a way to beat it. It does a good amount of damage. But yeah. Cool. I played Big Six, heavily separate up against Trick Room with Fridge Draft Kangaskhan. It is kind of weak to it. What I would say is, you gotta use King Gambit right up against that. King Gambit can be your best friend, so can Basket Legion. Don't go Tailwind up against an obvious Trick Room. You can Heat Wave that board. You can Heat Wave plus like, Kowtow Cleave. You can go like, King Gambit lead. You could even go Floette. Floette's kind of good into that stuff. You have Calm Mind and Floette. You could set up a Calm Mind, or if you're like an offensive one, you could Lighter Ruin the Fridge Draft turn one and Kowtow Cleave it, double threaten at turn one for a one hit knockout if you can. As an example, it's all about the timing. Do they get up Trick Room? Yes or no? If they get up Trick Room, then you got to survive the Trick Room, and you have to make that a part of your game plan. But if they don't get up Trick Room, don't let them. If you can stop their Trick Room, don't let them get it up. That's the ideal. Is you kill a Trick Room setter before they can do anything. If you can somehow do that, where you double pressure with 2 Pokemon in your team, then do that. But if you cannot, then just be comfortable playing in Trick Room. The way to stall out Trick Room is to survive it. You have to double protect every other turn. Unless you think they're going to switch out into their Torkoal on the turn you double protect, in which case snipe the Torkoal. It's kind of a read-based one. But just know, like, if they cannot, like, if they have Trick Room up, they have to switch out if they want to get their momentum up. But yeah, cool. Good questions. Can we get the session recorded? One step ahead of you. Already being recorded. Awesome. From both sides. When you are losing, what things should you think to make a comeback in positioning? Good reads, etc. That's a good question. Whenever I'm in a losing position, you need to start throwing something. If you notice you're consistently losing in a particular board state, you basically just need to keep on trying to find something that lands. What this looks like is basically just kind of going like Hail Mary, trying to look for a snipe. You're trying to look for a 100 X bet, basically, where you nail precisely what they're going to click, and then you find that high impact turn where you're like, oh, now's my turn. If I get this right, I win the game. If I get it wrong, I lose the game. And be willing to do that. If you're getting behind, you want to force the throw as quickly as possible, because either you speed it up and you just lose quicker, or you go for you it actually works and you get the win. That's basically the mentality whenever you're behind. You need to kind of find a position to kind of assert yourself back into the game. Um, any strategy up against minimize overquill? Oh, just click Perish. If you really hate it, click Perish, because it's just toxic. Or taunt it before it can get going. You have to taunt it or perish it. That's it. I hate that thing. It's toxic. By the way, in tournament, you can ignore it. You can kill everything else but the overquill, but on ladder you can't because they force ties, and it's so sad. Okay, cool. All right, I'm getting down. How do I know archetypes you can play the best? That comes from experience, my man. You just gotta play. Whatever kind of like wins for you. Everyone has a different kind of player profile. I really like Perish and I like Setup. Those are the only two teams I really like to play. Um, and that's just me. I'm not good at offense. I'll call myself out on that. I really wish I was a better offensive player. That's my weak suit. I'm not good at playing offensive teams. I'm good at bulky teams, but I'm not good at playing offense. It just does not click for me. Some people are much better at just like positioning themselves very aggressively and intentionally trying to get off these strikes. I'm not. And I'll call myself out on that. And I recognize that's my weak spot. But I only learned that from experience. I tried out everything. I've tried out every single type. And eventually I'm just like, this is how I like to play the game. And this is not how I like to play the game. But yeah. How do you know which nature and EV is best for Pokemon? Um, Basically, generally for nature, I try to go for the highest stat return on investment. So if there's a Pokemon that has a modest nature, and it has a base like 170 special attack, 170 is huge, by the way. I will want to go modest because you get 10% of that 170 stat. So, 10% of a big number is a big number, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Um, Now, there are situations and exceptions to this rule. If the extra nature allows you to achieve something you could not do without that. What if you had a very low defense, but you can survive an attack if you invest in bold nature as opposed to going with modest? Well, if I need to survive that calc, I might invest in bold. The other thing is, what about speed? What about if I need to outspeed something to make the matchup much easier? Then I would try to invest in speed to do that, and I'd figure out kind of a middle ground for how my games go. I think about Basket Legion. I keep getting killed by Basket Legion because it's too fast and he kills me with Wave Crash. I'd ask myself if I can outspeed Basket Legion to make my time easier, as an example. Um, but yeah, from today's session, I understood that having a good Pokemon individually doesn't necessarily make a good team. How do you know when all 6 Pokemon actually work well enough together and the team is enough for a serious competition? That's another good question, Serena. So basically, like, like whenever a team is completely ready for competition, whenever you are able to get this sense of confidence with it, where you're able to go toe to toe with literally anyone, you feel like you could look at Wolf and confidently be like, I could beat this guy. And the reason why I say Wolf is because he's the number one figure. He's the number one guy to be. He is the guy to be. If you're looking for like the best player in the world, it's him. That's very obvious. But it's like one of those things where like you have a certain confidence with your play. That's the feeling you want. That's whenever your team is tournament ready and like you have a very just calm, collected point of confidence, and it comes from your track record because you're winning all these games. Whatever gets you the highest win percentage is what you need to stick with. Um, Oh yeah, I do love Perish, by the way. I'm a big Perish player. But yeah. Um, okay, looks like we're actually getting to the end. Holy cow. Yeah, what do you think about Imprison Mons to counter hard trick room teams? I think Imprison's pretty good. It can be a bad move slot depending on the situation, but I think for certain matchups in best of one, it's good. Um, but yeah. Yeah, he said, which King Gambit is better, Defiant or Supreme Overlord? Oh my goodness. It absolutely needs to be Defiant. You always, always, always go with Defiant in this format. Because you get a 1.5x boost for a +1 with Defiant. Which your Super Overlord gives you a 10% boost for every Pokemon that's knocked out. Now, if you have two Pokemon that are knocked out, so you lost your first two Pokemon in intro, you now have a 1.2x Strong King Gambit, which can be intimidated. So you can even reduce his attack output if you go Supreme Overlord. So in other words, all I'm saying is you need to go with Defiant. It is so much better. But yeah, outside of that, you said Brady, next session quickly. Yep. Well, I'm done to have another one next week. That would be awesome. And good luck for Worlds. I'm not playing at Worlds this year. I took the season off, to be honest. I only played in two tournaments. So I'm taking kind of lax. I am coaching some people going to Worlds though, so hopefully my students do well. I'm really hoping they do good. I'm trying to get a winner this year. I haven't coached someone who's won yet, but I've coached someone who's gotten close. James Evans last year, I was on my roster, but unfortunately we cannot close that. But yeah, hopefully this year we get a winner. That would be awesome. Um, but yeah, do you think Incineroar is overrated? Yes and no. I think Incineroar is overrated in the sense that people are using Incineroar because it's Incineroar. But do I think he's overrated from his toolkit? No, that guy's good. That guy is good. That guy's really, really good. I got no complaints with Incin. I got no beef with Incin. Incineroar is I love that guy. That guy is VGC right there. Like literally Incineroar is VGC. I think that Incineroar, I think it's overhyped because everyone knows it's Incineroar because it's such a meme guy, but he is damn good. Incineroar is like that guy is awesome. He enables an entire style of play which revolves around him. He's a bully. He is a freaking bully. He earned his spot at number 1. He's earned his spot at just like one of the goats. How do you identify your opponent's primary win condition during team preview, and what is your favorite way to disrupt it early? This comes from experience in games. You can kind of like look at their team and be like, oh, they're doing this because you have experience. But if you don't have experience, you can kind of piece it together by thinking of the worst case scenario. Usually it goes like this in my head. I have a set strategy in my head I typically want to go for, fake out calm mind, and I run that line in my head. What's the worst case that happens if I go with my bread and butter, fake out calm mind? Oh, it's that they lead with Sneasler and Basque Legion and they click Wave Crash Ensign, they fake out my other guy. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Wait, I can't stop that if they do that. And then I'm like, well, they're going to lead that because I can't stop it if I go with my bread and butter. And then I will hard counter team that. And I'm just like, okay, what can I do to hard beat Basque Legion and Sneasler as a lead? Well, what if I led with Sinistra so I can Rage Powder away their attack and I can kill them with a King Gambit on their Basque Legion? I'm like, that's a good plan. And bada boom, bada bam, they're disrupted. And then you have the fake out in the back with your calm mind. And you basically, once you disrupt them, then you can go back to your bread and butter. But yeah, that's a strategy. It's kind of reverse engineer what they could do to beat you. That's a very common team preview strategy. Um, when playing Paris Trap against someone who knows your win condition and actively preserves the switching options, how can you create a position where Paris Time becomes unstoppable? Oh, very easy. Kill the ghost types and kill the dark types, kill the ghost types. Ghost types, you can shadow ball them with Gengar. If they're a dark type, you can encore disable them, or you can like whatever fake them out. It's all about letting Gengar survive the turn. Get a fake out off. Fake out plus perish is very hard to stop. You shadow ball their ghosts. You can perish trap everything else that's not a ghost besides Como. You cannot perish trap Como. I'm very sad about that. But everything else that's not Como or a ghost type, you should be perishing. You get aggressive with it. I mean, like you feel like you're not safe. Click it anyways. Just go aggro with Perish. You gotta like play that archetype to win. You gotta play like really, really like disrespectful. Like you gotta play like out of like your mind kind of thing. You gotta be like, oh, I know that you know, but do you know that I know that you know kind of thing. You know, like yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like what you gotta do. Yeah, for skill swap, no guard Halucha, maybe a tailwind. Yep. Now you're thinking the right direction, Yami. Exactly. I'd love to see that to allow your Snorlax to work. Good thinking. Um, Awesome, y'all. What's the deal spread for Gengar? I got a Gengar spread for y'all. Okay, all right. Just you stay till the very end. This is gonna be the last thing I answer, y'all. But I will give the Gengar spread. I've used this Gengar spread for a minute. It's best paired up with a mouse hold, okay? Okay, I want to show you guys what it does. So I'm gonna go to the website just to demo the website so you guys can see what it does in person. So let's go to Gengar, click my Gengar, go to sharpen, put in Gengar, back my teams. Here we go. Mega Gengar. There we go. Whoa, what the heck? Sorry, ignore my broken website. It's not broken, I promise. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right, we're just gonna put in Gengar. Okay, I'll build a Gengar spread for you guys. Okay. So, all right, this is the last tree. Okay. So basically, if you're going for a Perish Trap Gengar, what you need, and I cannot stress this enough, you need survivability. Okay, the reason why is because Gengar is so freaking frail. The special attack stat is a bait. It's like you can go an offensive one, but if you're going with Perish, you don't want to do that. You need survivability because you're looking to survive the turn. So very simply put, what I normally do is mine lives a wave crash from Scarf, Basque Legion. Now I personally handmade this spread. Um, but here's what the calc is. It's 16 in defense and 32 in HP. And I'm gonna go over some of this with you. So look at this: 32 attack, adamant, Basque Legion wave crash, never kills. That's awesome. We also live -1 life for Basque Legion wave crash. That's another calc we live. What about the rest of the spread? So generally in speed, what mine hits right now is 173. You can tell it's not that much speed. But what this does is it outspeeds adamant, Sneasler. It also outspeeds Modest Frostlass, which hits the same speed stat as Sneasler. It outspeeds Modest Pelipper in Tailwind, and it outspeeds Garchomp and Floette. And you can see all these if you want to go through them. You can like literally just see them like happen. So you can like pin these on the website. If you plug this in, you can see the math behind it. And I just dump the rest into special defense. What the special defense allows you to survive is Shadow Ball from Frostlass. Oh, one sec. Let me pull it up for you guys. So you can see what I'm talking about. Frostlass. Where is Frostlass? There you are, Frostlass. So look at this. Shadow Ball. Max special attack Frostlass. Shadow Ball, 6.3% chance to kill us. So that's like almost will never happen. Almost. It could happen, but once again, a risk management game. Earthquake from Garchomp. If they're -1, we survive this. -1 Garchomp, we survive. Yeah, we still have a lot of stuff at -1. And then what you can do is like check your calcs. Now, I always generally have a mouse hold on my Gengar builds because look at this catalog. It goes to green. You survive every single attack if you have a mouse hold with the Friend Guard. It makes your Gengar that much bulkier. And my favorite thing to do with Perish, by the way, and this is just like the strat I'm on. You encore disable lock people down. So basically, what you do is you lead mouse hold and Gengar. And what you do is you double protect turn 1. You click protect on both mouse hold and Gengar, and then you target down the thing which is most annoying, like the King Gambit or the Incineroar, and you click Encore Disable, and they just are they're forced to struggle. And then you can either kill it, you can Encore Disable their ally, and then you can get a Perish off whenever they're Encore Disabled. It's a very evil strategy. It is literally one of the most evil strategies I've ever played. But it is fun. It is just like one of those things that are very good. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. These are the real last questions. All right, for real. Okay, last ones. All right. Okay. This is it. When using Perish Trap Gengar against a team with multiple ways to deny the trap or maintain switching positions, how do you identify which Pokemon actually needs to be removed first before committing Perish Song? Always the Ghost type. Always remove the Ghost type or trap it. That's literally the only rule. You either like because if they're a Ghost type, they cannot get trapped. If they are not a Ghost type, they get trapped. Get the Ghost type off the board as quickly as possible. Use Shadow Ball, kill it, and then trap whatever you can. That's basically it. So yeah, pretty much kill the Ghost type, trap everything else. Dark type that can kill you, fake out cycle it, disable it. Don't allow them to kill you. But yeah. At Brady, to me, what about a 180 speed? You outspeed opponent's mouse hold at max speed so you won't get taunted. That's an example of a good plan. That's something you could do. but you'd have to change out the other variables, which if you want to do that, you can. You either have to make it not survive the Shadow Ball, you have to make it not survive the Weather Ball from Charizard, make it not survive the Wave Crash from Basculegion. You have to pick one of those because you're sacrificing one. You are going to make a sacrifice. If you do want more speed, you have to make a sacrifice. But I think 180 is that's a good idea. If you're looking for more speed, I think that's not a bad idea at all. Cool. If your opponent has multiple ways to rotate Pokemon to avoid losing the Perish, how do you decide whether to commit resources to maintain the trap intentionally, let them switch, use the Perish song for positional advantage instead? Wait, if your opponent still has, you know what? I want to tell you this, Serena. Okay, that one of these days I will have a Perish masterclass. We can do that in the future. This one's like it's getting way too technical now, but thank you. Okay. That's all I got, y'all. Thank you.